Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Hey, happy Memorial Day. Hopefully you're outside, or inside at least, enjoying some good barbecue, hanging out with your family, your friends, and just really enjoying this day. But we should also give huge shout out to all of the men and women that serve for our country. Thank you for your service. No matter if you're currently in service now, serving in the military, or previously as well, if you're a veteran, thank you. At the end of the day, thank you. We appreciate all that you've done for our country, and thanks for keeping us all safe. All right, so thank you guys and gals. So we're gonna go ahead and review today Shenks Homestead. Now, cool thing about Shenks, a little bit, I guess slightly cool, comes from Michters. Everyone knows Michters, but when I think back about Michters actually has a special place in my heart. So the first episode ever of the Bourbon Judge, I reviewed Michter's Small Batch. You want to talk about going back like old school? If you want a good laugh, please check out my first original video. We're talking in my office, no props, no barrels, no staves. I mean, no nothing, right? just straight up. That was, gosh, that was old school. That was back in the day. But hey, I've come a long way. Honestly, appreciate everyone out there, all of you guys and gals out there helping me out, watching the video, subscribing. So, but if you want a good laugh, please go back and check out episode numero uno. Quite funny, actually, to see the progress over time. So I appreciate that. And I should say also, thank you for all my patrons as well, who helped to kind of build all this as well. So I appreciate all that. So thank you guys and gals. But all right, so again, I reviewed, of course, Michter's Small Batch as my first episode. I also reviewed, I think it was Michter's 10 and a few others. And most important, I reviewed Bombergers. So what makes these two different than your traditional Michter's products that you always see, like the label that says Michter's, right? What makes these two different, if you will, as a whole, they come from what they refer as the legacy line. Most distilleries have like special different lines. For example, Bar Sound Bourbon Company, they have, their Fusion, their Discovery series. Michter's has their legacy lines. So when you think about that, what does that really mean? And again, I will put the link up above for this bad boy here for Bombergers. Kind of going back to Bombergers, this, folks, was fantastic. And I mean fantastic. So Shenks got a lot of work if you want to try to compete with Bombergers. But back to the name. So the whole Legacy series, essentially they're paying tribute to the founding owners of the distillery of Michter's, the brand as a whole. So the original owners back in 1753 was a gentleman by the name of John Shenk. John Shenk, hence Shenks Whiskey. John Shenk had it for a while. And then I think it was like in the early 1800s, I believe it was, it moved over to Bombergers. Bombergers had it, and then obviously it changed names, but those owners only had it for, a couple of years here and there. And then obviously the brand was resurrected in the mid-1900s, formerly obviously now known as Michter. So that's where they got the name from, and that's like the whole history behind the Michter's brand as a whole. So this is the Legacy series. So this should be like really honestly some of the best juices out there. Now we'll say, last thing, before we dive into this one, Bombergers is actually a bourbon, a traditional bourbon. Shenks Homestead is actually an American whiskey. So this is just American whiskey. This is not a traditional bourbon, right? But we know this is a Kentucky sour mash whiskey. I've had it already. It has a lot of similar notes to traditional bourbon. Definitely some similarities. This one comes in at 91.2 proof. That was 108. So you know what I'm already thinking. 108, 91.2. How good is this bad boy? 91.2. Now, the main reason I wanted to review this, both of these bourbons or bourbon and whiskey, this comes out annually, once per year, typically like in the late July, early August time frame. So I wanted to review this so that when you're out there shopping, you see it on the shelf, you're like, gosh, do I buy Shenks? Or do I buy the Bombergers that Bourbon Judge reviewed before? Or do I buy both, right? So we're going to dive into that at the end. Let me go ahead and pour this. All right, enough talking. Let's get into this bad boy. So 91.2 proof, MSRP, about $80. Now, a lot of times, unfortunately, with limited releases that come out once a year, most liquor stores will mark it up. But typically, I've only seen it for like 100, maybe 105. But MSRP is 80 to 85 in that range. There's no exact age statement on this. What I will say is this. You have the master distiller, Dan McKee. Him and his team, everyone knows when you think of Michter's, you think of the toasted barrels, and they do some phenomenal toasted barrels, and phenomenal job just with barrels in general. But Dan McKee, the master distiller, Andrea Wilson is the master of maturation bourbon judge. What in the hell is a master of maturation? All right, so essentially, what Miss Wilson does, she does a phenomenal job of it. Let's give her credit. She is the one who truly selects all their wood for their barrels. They dry their wood. She's in charge of that. Even when the bourbon is aging, it's maturing. Now we're kind of following along here. The bourbon is maturing. While it's maturing in the barrels, Andrea Wilson is in charge of that as well. So she's the master of maturation, right? So shout out to Andrea and thank her for all that she does, because I would tell you, I love almost all Michter's products. So it will be interesting to see how good this one is. All right, let me get into the nose real quick here. This is like a sexy, beautiful nose. This is nice. Oh my gosh, I tell you. This is so nice on the nose. So what I like about this is that, a couple things. It's like, I pick up really three things. This is extremely oak forward, very oaky, a drop of maple syrup, maybe like a drop of like an orange peel, but not the burnt orange peel that you get in more higher proofs, more of like a very, almost like a subtle, very smooth and calm orange peel, right? That just kind of placed in there. And just a drop of rye. So going back to Andrea Wilson, at least for the 2020, and I should call that out, I'm reviewing the 2020 release in preparation for all of you guys and gals out there who's about to be searching pretty soon for the 2021 release coming out pretty soon. So this one here, they did actually age their bourbon in chinkapin barrels, wood barrels. So again, Andrea Wilson found chinkapin wood barrels. Obviously, they got the barrels made, and the barrels were actually dried and sitting there for 3 years. So dried and sitting for 3 years. So while we don't know the actual age of the bourbon, because there's a no age statement bourbon, we at least know that the barrels themselves were dried and sitting there for 3 long years before they placed this lovely whiskey inside of it, or potentially lovely whiskey. All right, folks, I'm telling you, for the nose, this is honestly just, it's flat out amazing. Gosh, it's such a nice, man, this is like oak, a little bit of maple syrup, some orange, some spice. It comes so well together. It's just so nice and lovely and elegant. Well, as they say, there's only one thing to do. Folks, peace, cheers, salute. I appreciate everyone out there. I need 3 favors, and I say this each and every week. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Love going back and forth. And last but not least, please hit the subscribe button, hit that bell, subscribe to the Bourbon channel. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And again, we're wrapping it up. This is really, I guess technically, the last day for the drive to 5. We might not get to 5, but hey, I appreciate everyone out there. Thank you again for always watching the Bourbon Judge. As we say, cheers, peace, salute. Here we go. Woo. All right. Let me get a little bit more of that. Let me get just a smidge more and let it marinate for a little bit as well. So, a couple of things stand out. Remember, this is a hard one to find because it only comes out annually. So whenever I'm, kind of sampling, an annual release bourbon, I kind of pay special attention to it. I really want to make sure I'm giving you guys the straight up honest verdict, because you're only going to find it once per year. And if you find it, it's like, gosh, how good is it? There is a drop left. Everyone knows I do not leave good whiskey in a glass. So I got to finish it. I'm sorry. And then I'll give you the verdict. I promise. Okay. All right. I think I'm good. I got it. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to roll. All right. So I'm going to give you the verdict, and then I'm going to explain the reason why. Ready? The verdict is in. This is a buy with a asterisk. So let me just say this. Let me explain. Everything from the nose transferred to the palate. I love that. This is truly an oak forward bourbon. Very oaky. The only thing that slightly of a little bit of a disappointment, if you will, is that the caramel, the orange peel, and that pepper. Well, the pepper actually was there in the finish, but the orange peel and the maple syrup, that actually did not come through. The palate and the finish was nice, and it was long, it was okay, it was good. For a 91.2 proof whiskey, it actually had a decent finish, but the finish was only oak. It was extremely oaky, right? That was I guess, like part of like the rub, if you will. I like this a lot. However, here is the thing I want everyone to know. If you see both of these, right, at a liquor store, you see Shenks Homestead and you see Bombergers. All day, every day, buy Bombergers. Do I like this at $80? Absolutely. But should you pay more for it? Do not pay more than $80, right? It's a great annual release, great to try at least one time. I actually enjoyed it. Obviously, I've been sipping it. I enjoy it. But is it worth like paying $100, $200, $300? Definitely not. And if you see both of these out and you're wondering, okay, Bourbon Judge review both, which one is better? I'll tell you right now, again, Bombergers all day long. And the reason why, Bombergers is so much more well-rounded. It is a full bourbon. It's not just a whiskey. It's well-rounded. 108 proof. Being that they're both at the same price point, all day buy Bombergers. Shenks, really good, but just not all that. I didn't want to give it a do not buy because I do actually like it a lot, but it's just missing that a little something to make it just extremely special. Folks, I appreciate everyone out there. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for subscribing. As you say, peace.